Hmm. Okay. So let me see if the stream is running or not. Sorry. Has this stream gone live yet? Yeah, it has gone live. Okay, that's cool. Let me just arrange the things a bit. Yeah. Okay, so where were we last time? So we were making Go programming language. Sorry, we were learning Go programming language, and let me open up VS Code to the previous step. Yes, this is the code we were writing, and we were in the if else statements. And according to some previous feedbacks, I came to know that this I was explaining this a little bit more. This means it was more beginner based, and will try to go through things quickly today. So we are currently dealing with if else statements, and the next big thing will be loops. So in Go there is only one kind of loop, that is our for loop. So let's say we are writing a small program to loop over and show the numbers from 1 to 10, and let's just switch the scene because I think you cannot see my screen right now. Yes, now it will be proper. It has come. Yeah. So let's just talk about loops. So in Golang there is only one kind of loop, which is our for loop, and for loop is really simple to write. Let's just write a loop to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So for, then we will initialize a loop variable. This is the loop variable, and we are using the previous notation, which is really quick, right? My mic was almost falling off. Sorry for any voice disruption or anything caused. Okay, so let's move on with our topic. Let me just see if there is in the chat something. No, not right now. So okay, I equal to 0, and next is a condition. So in if else, when there was a condition, the condition was doing is comparing the things, and if the condition was true, then it was executing. Same with for loop. Instead of if the condition is true, here the condition needs to be true to be run the loop. Means the loop will run until the condition is true. Sorry, until the condition is false, the loop will keep on running. So I equal to 0. Let's say I less than equal to 10. I will do is I equal to 1, I less than equal to 10, and I plus plus. So in Go there is no usage of first bracket around the for and if statements. Then the next thing will be to print our result. So we will call fmt dot print ln, and we will pass the I to it. And let's just save this code and go to the terminal. I will clear the console and will say go run period and press enter. So you can see the numbers from 1 to 10 are now printed properly. And just a second, I forgot to turn on something, which is this. This will make my volume more crisp. So next thing is, if you are coming from another programming language, you might be thinking, where is the while loop? The while loop is so useful. Let's say we are writing a C program. Sorry, not C program. This is Go. Write a Go program to sum up the digits of a number. Let's just say we are doing this program. For this, first we need the variable number. So variable number, which will be of type int, and then we will take it as user input. Before that, we will say just print something. Print, print, not line, print, enter a number. So that will be cool, and the user will input a number for us, and then we will loop over the digits of the number. So for that, we cannot use for loop like this. We just omit the rest of the parts and just keep the condition, and it becomes a while. So for num greater than 0, num int will be 0, sum will be equal to sum plus num modulo 10, and then the statement will be print the sum finally, print fmt dot print the sum is, we will use printf here, percentage %b, comma sum, and then here we need to reduce the num so that it gets to 0, num equal to num divided by 10. As it is an integer, so it will cause no problems and it will go really easy. And we need to scan the number. We forgot to scan the number. fmt dot scan, and we can pass the address of the variable. For our case, that will be num, and let's just save this code. Now if we run it, let's clear the console and run it again. So that will be go run period, press enter a number. So it is asking for a number. For example, let's just say the number is 582. Let's just press enter, and the sum will be 15. 8 plus 2, 10, plus 5, 15. Let's just run it again and see if it can handle. Yeah, the sum is 36 and the code is running properly. So that is how you write a while loop using for in Go. I know it is a bit weird and unique approach, but it will do. The next thing will be like, let me see what can be the next thing. So functions. So we are already been defining functions in Go because we are writing this function main. This is a function. So a function has mainly three parts. Let me just omit this comment here. And the function has mainly three words. The keyword func, then the name of the function. For our case, let's just say we are saying name of the function. Now, alike variables, function names also need to be unique and they need to be, what should I say? They need to follow some rules like I told before, and then we can pass parameters. So there will be parameter 1, then there will be like data type 1, and it can go up and until you want, means data type 2 parameter 2, data type 3 parameter 3. Okay, Then we need to mention the return type. In main function, we are not returning anything. A function is like a piece of code which will execute and return statement or value. So here if we want to return a value, we need to mention the return type, and we can open the curly braces and go on coding. And inside the curly braces, what we write is our function body, and that's how you define a function. So let's just define a simple function for adding two numbers. For that, we can do is for, sorry, func add two numbers. So we will open and close the curly braces, normal braces and curly braces. In the normal braces, we will write like I, which will be an int, and okay, we will take the extension later, and there will be j, which will be another integer. Now we can just return the sum I plus j, and you return something using the return keyword. Okay, so now there is a squiggly line. Why? Because we haven't told it that we are returning something. So we need to write that return type, which will be int for our case. And let's just call this function var end var end 20 dot print enter two numbers 20 dot scan ampersand n ampersand n, and sum will be equal to add two numbers m and n. Let's just save, and now let's just run this code, and it will say to enter two numbers. Let's just enter 12 and 9, and the sum is 21. So our program is working correctly. So where do we use functions generally? We use functions to like, what should I say? To like execute a piece of code again and again. And I will come to better examples later. But for now, we we need to know another thing about functions, which is calling a function inside a function. Means we will call this function inside this function. That is called something called recursion, and recursion can be a good topic to discuss for all day long. So I don't want to go to that depth with this topic. So the next thing will be like our structures. So in C, if you are coming from a programming language like C, you will know that there is something called structures. And in Go, we also have structures. As Go is not object-oriented programming language, we mainly deal with functions. Okay. And if we need to aggregate many data types together, let's say we want to store any student data. So there is no data type called student, but we can use the keyword struct to create a structure student, and there will be expected declaration found struct. Okay. So there will be this will be, I guess, reverse. Let me just open up the Go documentation. Go. There is that website which I really like. Let's just wait at the first line. And here I think there will be interface, something called interface. Oh, I forgot about arrays. I am coming to arrays real soon. But before that, let me show you interfaces. Sorry, not interface. That's structures. Structs. Yes. Type struct. Okay. So we are defining a new type. So the first word will be type. Then there will be the name, and then there will be the struct keyword. And here we can have var role, which will be an integer, and there can be another variable. Okay, so we don't need to write the var keyword here. We can just write the variable name. For example, let's just say name, and that will be a string. So there is our structure, and let's just create var student student. Okay, then print. Let's just remove this part of code. Mm, Reading. So name. Let's just say the user to enter the name. Okay, enter name. Let's just space n fmt dot scan, and we can input the name and the role. And once we get these, we can do like student dot name equal to name, and student dot role equal to role. That's completely fine, and we can do that. There's nothing wrong with this. Okay, role is string here, which will be int actually, and now it is okay. So this is completely fine, completely perfect, but there is another style. So we can do is like student equal to, and then open the second brackets, and we can pass the name as name and role as role. And here we need to pass the student properly, and we can finally print the results. Print roll number V is V, and we will print the name and the role. Print dot name, print dot role, and let's just save this and run this program. And for example, we can enter my name, and it will also wait for the roll number. Let's just say 2, and it will say roll number. Okay, I should have done the opposite. Roll and name. So let's just save it and run it again. Roll number 2 is actual, and that's completely perfect. And there we can declare it in another way. We know the first parameter is a role, and the next parameter is a name. So we will pass like role and then name, and that's also perfect. Okay, so there are three ways we can declare or insert value in a struct. Next, we will talk about arrays. Arrays are like this continuous data storage where you can store any kind of data. Oh, so arrays are like this storage where we can store continuous data of any single type. Okay, so let's say for us, we need multiple students in our list. So let's just define students and we will create it as an array of size 10. We need to mention the size here actually. And we can say enter a name, enter a role, tens, 0 will be this. And that's how you work with an array. You can access data using these third brackets. So that will help you to access the data in 0th position or in first position like this. And the loops and the arrays go really hand in hand. Means you mostly will use a for loop with a array to store different kind of data and retrieve different kind of data properly. And let's just say here we will go like for I 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and we will move this code inside the for loop, and this code will go inside the loop as well. Include I, and here we can run another for loop. J, this will be J less than 10, J plus plus. Now, okay, and let's just say students J, J, E, 2, E2, E4, 4, D5, E6, F7, J8, 2, 20, 2, 30, Q12, and it will show if roll number 2 is A, roll number 3 is B. So all the data are stored properly. And we can print the list directly as well. We can go like fmt.print and we will pass in the list of students and it will print it directly. And instead of 10, let's do 3 for now. And we will remove the add two numbers function. And so let's just save this code. Okay, things look okay. And let's just run again. A1, B2, B3. Like here is how a structure is stored in Go language, and here is the look at the array we have. Now, one problem with array is this is fixed size. So, and in most programming, you often encounter with things that are not in fixed size, they are in variable size. For that, we can use something called, we call it, wait a second, I forgot the name, so I am just checking. So we call this slice. So slice is just like an array, but with no limited size. So just we can do is we can remove the length and there will be 3 student names stored as previous, but this time this will be a slice. And the advantage of being a slice is that you can Okay, just a minute. The advantage of being in slice is that you can append things to the slice. So we will take this outside and we will say instead of students I will say students dot append, and we can copy this and paste this here. We can append the new students will be equal to append, and we can print the students. So instead of 3 now we can store 4 students without making much change to our code. And let's just run it again, and we can say A1, and there is something problem. Index out of range. Okay, so we have given the length of 0. So how we can solve that? We can solve it easily with doing this. Students will be equal to make, and the type will be student, and size will be 3. So let's just save and run this. And now we will say 1, D2, D3, and then D4. And all of the data will be stored properly. Behind the scenes, the what what is it called again? Slices. Yeah, slices are actually arrays, but they are being manipulated properly so that we get the feeling that they have infinite size or undefined size, but we need to predefine it. Means we are actually predefining it, kind of predefining it. So that's about that slices. And let me just see if there is any slice related things. We have discussed this thing while loop, and we can go ahead and check something more. But first, let me see if there is anything in the chat. No, no one is watching. Okay, that's fine. That's cool completely. Uh, so that was the second part of Go. Basically, I have gone through everything basics. We haven't talked about packages and things which are means important, but not in the scope of basic Go language. But I hope you guys have a basic idea of Go now, and you can dive into concurrency, error control, structs, methods. Yeah, methods. Another thing which I forgot to mention, that is methods. Say instead of student, we are having a struct of rectangle. Rectangle will have length int and width int, and we can define a function of area for this rectangle. For that, we need to write function, and we need to pass a pointer. So pointer is kind of like a special variable which can store address of another variable. So that's about the pointers. We don't need to go deep on pointers right away. So let's just say R, and it will be of type rectangle, and the function will be find area, which will take no input and will output an integer based area, and which will return r dot length. Okay, as it is a pointer now, you can use the pointer arithmetic. I think that shouldn't be pointer. Okay, yeah, that should be a pointer. So r dot length and r dot width. And let's just move our all student code, and let's just create a rectangle. R will be our rectangle with 3 and 4 as its length and width, and print r dot find area. Okay, so let's just save it and run this function, and the area will be 12. So that's how you define functions for a struct. And this is like means it is a plus step over the C programming language where you can not define functions related to structures. So structures can have functions in Go but not in C, which makes it more closer to a object-oriented programming language without being an object-oriented programming language. That's a nice thing. So that's about the methods. And we can actually change things actually. Then there is interfaces. Interfaces are like collection means struct are like collection of variables, while interfaces are collection of functions or methods. So that's cool about them. And that will be it for the basics of Go language. And in next video or in next live session, what should I do? Um, you can tell me in the comments and subscribe to my channel. If you are seeing it later, that will be awesome. And hope you guys enjoyed this session. Thank you. Yes.